Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, it's Friday night, Gridiron Grinder time. I'm Ryan. With me, as always, my buddy James. Just a couple of dudes hanging out talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. This is episode 219 of Gridiron Grinder. And for tonight, we're going to kick things off with Name That Stadium. Then we're going to cover the news from this past week. After that, we are going to, touch a little bit on the NFL honors and the Hall of Fame class, which were all just announced recently. And after that, we'll do our Super Bowl preview. And last but not least, we'll close it off with our question of the week. And so, with all that being said, how's it going there tonight, James?
I feel a lot better now than I did about a half hour ago, so it's going good.
Yes, yes, you had a nice little pre-show venting session. So, but we're talking football now, so
Fuck yeah.
yeah, positive vibes, my man. So,
Sorry, I was like 10 seconds too early for that, so forgive me.
oh, dude, hey, it's all good, my man. It's all good. But yeah, hey, whenever you're ready, why don't you jump in and name that stadium for us?
All right, as people can see, traveling around different stadiums host NFL games. First person guesses right. Nobody guesses anymore, but so fucking guess. Gets an extra special shout out the following week. 2 weeks ago, I was in Philadelphia because I really thought that I kind of didn't want to do Kansas City because Kansas City just pisses me off because they get every fucking call in the book. And by every call in the book, literally every fucking call in the book, he made the first down twice. But hey, it is what it is. So I was in Philadelphia for those that decided to guess. Oh wait, that was none of you. So nobody gets that extra special bookmark shout out this week.
Too bad, so sad, right?
Yep.
That's okay. And we're about to go into the off season, so it'll get even more scarce of chances. So, but whatever. Let's do our recap of the past week here, James. And it's really like the last two, right? Because we took last week off. And so, news wise, I don't know, man. I'm just skimming some stuff. I saw, on the coaching side, Gus Bradley, he's bounced around as a defensive guy in the league for a while. He's going to be signing or is signed with the 49ers as some kind of a defensive coach, probably under Robert Saleh, I'm guessing, which,
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a good move for them. They've had some serious problems with that defense since D'Amico Ryans left, and getting Saleh back was huge. And giving him more help is even better. So
Yeah, I kind of fall off on the coaching stuff a little bit. Like coordinators, head coaches. After that, I kind of stopped paying attention. I do know that
yeah,
we talked about it, how New Orleans is kind of behind the eight ball. Everybody and their brother pulled out from consideration for the New
yeah,
Orleans coaching job. Joe Brady, Kingsbury. Um, Word is, which Kellen Moore has said, it's not true that Kellen Moore is going to be their next head coach.
yeah.
But
Um, yeah. Why do you think people are backing out? I
I
mean, I
think
know a
part
couple years ago they were in like crazy salary cap hell, right?
they still are.
Yeah, and I was going to say I would imagine that continues to roll forward with the way they keep adding all these void years and whatever. Um, But man, it seems like it's got to be more than that because if you're a guy like Kellen Moore or whoever, it seems like, you know, 9 times out of 10, you're probably walking into a less than desirable situation, right? There's not going to be many Jim Harbaughs going to the Chargers with a Justin Herbert on the roster already.
Yeah, like they don't have a legitimate quarterback. Their
Yeah, the
current
defense is super old.
defense is super old. They're currently projected to be $54 million over the cap for 2025.
Yeah.
They have, which is going to have to be pushed forward to 26, and um,
Yeah. So you just say, I'll come there, but you got to give me like a fucking 7-year contract. So
yeah.
after year 2, when I get fired, I can at least continue to get paid because you set me up to fail.
So they have 3 players that hit the salary cap on their void years, and they also have 48 million in dead cap hit in 2025. It's brutal right now for them, and they
Yeah.
figure it out. They figure it out every year somehow. We talk about it. It's a fake cap, um, but it's just like, I think also part of it is they made it kind of known within league circles that Aaron Glenn was their first choice.
Gotcha.
And they showed too much of their cards too early, because now it's like, well, I'm not even your first choice.
Yeah.
You got left at the altar by Glenn because you were snowed in, and now you're trying to get me to come in. I thought Kingsbury wasn't a surprise because he's still being paid by the Cardinals.
Yeah. It's such a messed up deal. Yeah. He's
Um,
in no rush.
yeah, and then and plus, if you have Jaden Daniels as your quarterback, like, play like, have a couple
Yeah.
years, and
Yeah.
you're gonna get a better situation if you show
Oh
that.
yeah. Yeah. He'll be the top candidate next year. And, if the Cardinals' money runs out, then he'll strike while the iron's hot and he'll make the jump then.
Yeah. Um, Outside of that, I don't know really why. Like, those are the only things I can point to
Yeah.
there, but like,
Yeah. And I mean,
I
Kellen
don't know
Moore's
why.
been a great coordinator, right? He had one of the best offenses in Dallas. He went and ran a really good offense with the Chargers. Now he's running obviously a really good offense with the Eagles. I like him. I think he showed a lot of his versatility with the way that he moved from Dallas to the Chargers to Philly, especially now in Philly with the way they've been running the ball.
Hmm.
Obviously, it helps that you got Saquon Barkley, but, the idea is that he's been able to adjust his playbook to maximize the talent of the players that he has. And, you know, I think, out of the people that you hear are left, he seems to be the most attractive option. It's just that,
Yeah.
would he even want to go there with apparently everybody backing out? So, there's something
Yeah.
wrong with that job, James.
There's
Something wrong with that job.
something wrong there, and a little bit of interesting news. I don't know how it's going to work. Um, the NFL announced a 5-year deal. I think it was. Let me see. I want to say it was a 5-year deal to take a to play one regular season NFL game in Australia.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, I saw the one starting in 2026 for Australia. And then I just saw earlier that they're doing one this year, 2025, in Ireland.
Yeah. So the Rams will host 2026 in Australia. This just says multi-year. I thought I had read 5, but I'm not seeing it.
Okay.
So, and it'll be, so they have 9 home games scheduled in 2026. One of them not known. But so they play Seattle, San Francisco, Arizona, Dallas, the Giants, the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the same place finisher in the NFC North, and the same place finisher in the AFC East. Those are their home games. That's interesting. The Rams, their 6 international home marketing areas are Australia, China, Mexico, New Zealand, Japan, and South Korea. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see something there
Yeah.
pop up.
Yeah, they're planting the seeds that it can be any of those areas.
Yeah. And then you're right, the Steelers will host a 2025 regular season game in Ireland. Apparently, it's kind of fitting for the Steelers to host a game in Ireland
Okay.
because the Rooney family immigrated to Pittsburgh from Ireland,
Aye.
and the former team president was the ambassador to Ireland from 2009 to 2012 and was co-founder of the Ireland Funds charity.
Cool.
Apparently, they played a preseason game against the Bears in '97 in Ireland. I don't remember that.
Gotcha.
Outside of that, I'll hit it here because we can not end on this.
Sure.
Virginia McCaskey died of old age, apparently. I don't know how old.
102.
Yeah. I knew she was like old. Like I knew she was like
impressive,
pushing 100
man.
or over 100. She was the owner of the Bears, or
Yeah.
her family owns the Bears. She
was like the I don't know, like the controlling owner or whatever since like the 80s, I think.
How the fuck do you spell McCaskey?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what her condition was, maybe just old age or whatever. I know there's always something to it, right? Like cancer or whatever. It's not just, oh, they were old and they died. But um, I did see something with her on TV. I think it was like while they were like honoring her, and it was one of her like last kind of things where she was on TV, and she looked pretty good for how old she was, man. And so, just good genes in that family, making it to 102. And it looked like she kept her faculties pretty close to the end. And I don't know when that all faded, but, obviously you get that far, it's just pretty impressive.
Yeah, so she's the daughter of George Halas, which is the George Halas Trophy, which is the NFC Championship trophy. I'm trying to look. When did she inherited the Bears from her father. Should I? Most of these inherited the Bears when her father died in 1983.
Okay.
They're supposed to go to her brother, but her brother died suddenly. She had a long life. She was died about a month after her 102nd birthday, a month and a day to be exact.
Okay.
I don't know how much she was involved in the franchise versus
just
not involved. I do know, like, a lot of times they would show her at the game, so she was involved in some capacity, but she had a long life, so good for her.
Heck yeah.
Another sad news, apparently a reporter for Telemundo Kansas City died of suspicious causes in New Orleans.
Uh-oh. That doesn't sound good. Some Bourbon Street shadiness.
No, he was found dead Wednesday in his hotel room in Kenner, which is a suburb of New Orleans.
Okay.
And they arrested somebody on Thursday that was using his credit card.
Okay.
Let's see. And then leaving. So she arrived with him at 5 a.m. the day he was found and left without him an hour later. Which I don't think they said it was suspicious, but it's kind of suspicious if like she left with his credit card.
Yeah.
I have questions. I have a lot of questions about that.
All right. Keep talking. I gotta step aside for a second, but I'll still be able to hear you.
So outside of that, Tyreek Hill said he regretted his comments about Miami. Or, I'm sorry, he said he laments them. He said he was frustrated. He loves Miami. He doesn't want to go anywhere. It was a hard year. Blah, blah, blah. Kind of walking back his comments about not being there. Maybe he found out there wasn't really a market for him to pay him more than Miami.
You do got to wonder, right? Because one of these years, he's going to lose some of that blazing speed. And you wonder, how does his game evolve without that?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not like some big physical presence. He's very physical, but he's not like a big possession receiver, man. And so without that speed, but who knows? Because sometimes those guys hang on to that speed for a long time, a lot longer than you think, like Deshaun Jackson did. And so maybe Tyreek Hill will be one of those kind of guys that it just hangs with him, into his later years of his career, and it ends up being fine.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But it's just interesting. I think there's more to it than I just regret it.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, anything else on the news, or you want to kick it over and do a little NFL honors action?
We could do NFL honors. There's not really that much else going on in the news.
Yeah, I mean, it's playoff time, right? Like it'll be a couple weeks, and then we'll start getting free agency and combine stuff and NFL draft stuff going, and but yeah, and honestly, I'm not like crazy about the NFL honors, and so I didn't like watch any of this, and like the Pro Bowl games were last week. I barely watched any of that, it just but for the sake of the show, we might as well at least burn through it and say who won what awards,
Yeah, no, we can. I mean, there's the biggest surprise. I think it's the biggest surprise, but I don't think it's the biggest surprise because I think he deserved it over the other person. But everyone was surprised that Allen won the MVP over Lamar.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, I mean, they both had great years, right?
Yeah, they both had great years. I think what threw it over, like if you look at Josh Allen versus Lamar, like the games that were similar, like Lamar lost to Kansas City, lost to Mahomes, where Allen beat him in the regular season. Because it's a regular season award, not a playoff award.
Yeah, and I think it was, the big thing, right, was statistically, wasn't Lamar a decent amount ahead? I know he was at least in. I mean, I'm trying to pull it up. Like, so Lamar was like 4,000 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, and only 4 interceptions. I mean, that's insane, And then I'm trying to find what were his rushing stats, because he had good rushing stats too. And I know that Josh Allen is a dual threat guy both ways also, right? But I think Lamar statistically, a lot of people were expecting him to get it because the stats were a lot better than Josh Allen's. But like you're saying, it's more than just the stats.
So rushing this season, he had
Yeah, I mean,
915 yards rushing, 4 TDs.
yeah, so he was over 5,000 total yards, 45
Yeah,
touchdowns, and 4 interceptions.
yeah. So for passing, and then you have Josh Allen, who had, we get it open this year. He had 3,700 yards, 28 TDs, 6 interceptions, 531 yards, 12 TDs rushing.
Yeah, so, I could see where statistically you could give the edge to Lamar, right?
Yeah, statistically you could give the edge to Lamar, but where
It's more than
where
just stats.
it's more than just stats because of the word and because of the word valuable.
Yes.
Like the without Josh Allen, I don't know if the Bills would have been as successful
Yeah.
as the
Yeah, I
Ravens
mean,
without
Derrick
Lamar.
Henry was a beast for that offense too for
Exactly.
Baltimore. Yep.
Exactly. And that's where,
I mean,
although
James Cook did come up big this year, but it did all run through Josh Allen.
yeah, it ran all through Josh Allen. Derrick Henry had almost 2,000 yards rushing, where James Cook had 1,000 yards rushing.
Mm-hmm.
And so the offense for the Bills went 100% through Allen, basically 95% were 90% through Lamar. Like, I think the valuable title of it is where it gave Josh Allen the edge over Lamar.
Yeah.
I thought watching him like this year, like I was waiting for that fuck up moment by Lamar,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and I always was thinking it was going to happen. I think if they
It
wouldn't,
didn't happen until the playoffs.
right, which surprise, it always happens in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, that fumble, it still blows my mind how weird that fumble was that he had. It was like, dude, what are you doing?
I don't I don't even know how to explain that game like at
Yeah.
all.
All
And then
right,
we had
so then yeah, keep
coach of
going.
the year was O'Connell. I can see that. Like everybody
Yeah.
wrote Minnesota off without McCarthy. When McCarthy went down, as like everybody and their brother wrote Minnesota off, and they got what they could. Like they got a whole shitload that wasn't expected out of Darnold, and then he kind of tailed off.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah, he
I
tailed off week 18 and then the first playoff game. But other than
yeah,
that, yeah, like you're saying, nobody expected them to even make the playoffs. And I think that that's the big argument with, you know, in I know some of it's just the market that I'm in, but a lot of people were bitching that Dan Campbell didn't get it. And I think the difference is almost everybody was expecting the Lions to be in the
mhm,
playoffs again this year,
exactly.
anyhow. Nobody was expecting the Vikings to get in the playoffs, let
Oh,
alone win 14 fucking regular season games.
oh, 100%. And like with it, like I have no issue with O'Connell winning it over
Yeah.
Dan. Don't don't kill me, Detroit. But I just think
Yeah, I
I
love
think
Dan Campbell, but, trying to be unbiased, right?
yeah. Like if it was 2 years ago and Dan Campbell did what he did,
Yeah.
this season, okay, yeah. But I mean, everybody was saying like I mean, for a good portion of the season, the Lions were the betting favorite to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So it's hard to get coach of the year when you got the bar up that high.
Yeah. And at the preseason, everyone was talking about Detroit as a Super Bowl contender. So I have no issue with that.
Yeah.
Defensive Rookie of the Year, I have no issue with. Uh, Jared Verse from the Rams.
Yeah. He had a
Uh,
great year.
he had a great year. Like it was like either one of the Rams that were finalists, I would have been fine. Him or Braden Fisk, they
Yeah.
both had freaking phenomenal years, and I can't argue with with that with him. The one I have an argument on is Joe Burrow being comeback player of the year.
Who would have been your? alternative for that.
So I have to look at the list.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing is nobody else was coming to my mind, but I didn't go digging deep. I just read it and was like, okay, whatever. And it's just because Burrow was hurt last year, and so I mean, to that regard, hey, he came back and he played the whole year. So
Yeah, he came back. He played the whole year.
and he played great despite their defense sucking dick.
I'm looking. I'm trying. Comeback player of the year. Let me see if I can find the finalist list. And I just don't think he. Okay, so there's between him. Oh no shit! Sam Darnold should have fucking won it.
Yeah, there you go. Good point. Good point.
Sam Darnold,
Yeah,
Damar Hamlin,
yeah,
who both had great seasons, and I just.
yeah. Sam Darnold it's like a Geno Smith comeback player of the year story. It's
Yeah.
hey, he was there, he just sucked and everybody wrote him off.
Uh-huh. All right. Then we had
Saquon, player of the year.
Offensive player of the year, Saquon Barkley.
Hard to argue that.
It's very hard to argue that, except for I have an issue with how offensive player of the year never goes to a quarterback. MVP never goes to anybody but a quarterback. I just have an
it's
issue
weird
with
how
that.
they've split that up, right?
Yeah.
And there were people talking about should Saquon get the MVP? Could this be one of those rare years? But I know what you mean. It's very MVP is almost always a quarterback. It's just not. Yeah, it's strange. It's strange.
Here's the thing about it. If they would have let Saquon play in Week 18 and get the 100 yards he needed to set the record,
yeah, then how do you deny it?
I think he would have won MVP, but because he didn't set the record, I think that hindered his chances at winning MVP.
Yeah, I guess that's weird then because it's almost like maybe you say, oh, well, Lamar had such crazy stats. If we're looking just at stats, but obviously we're looking at more than that because Josh Allen beat out Lamar. So it's, oh man, yeah, that would have made it interesting. That would have made it interesting.
Yeah.
So what about the defensive player of the year? Because that's one that honestly, I didn't hear a ton about this guy throughout the year. And so, I mean, I know the Denver defense was lights out, but
that
it's just
surprised me until you look at his next gen stats.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's got to be something that because I mean I'm trying to look at it. What he had 4 interceptions. It's not like lighting the world on fire, but he must have just been like a lockdown cornerback all year, man.
Yeah. So he held Jamar Chase to 3 receptions for 27 yards. Metcalf for 3 receptions, 29 yards. Next gen stats, he had 316 receiving yards allowed total this season.
That's crazy.
Lowest expected points added per target at minus 0.43. 4 interceptions, led the league on those 4 interceptions, led the league in interception return yards at 132. So, like, if you dive into the stats, we didn't hear about him that much, but looking into his stats, like, I can see.
Yeah, he was locking people down.
He was really locking people down.
No, and that's good, right? Because it's like it's like if a defensive lineman wins, if it's like an edge guy, you hear, oh, he had 20 sacks or something, and it's like, oh shit, that's crazy. But for like a cornerback position, unless the dude has like 10 interceptions, it's hard to see the stats jump off the page, right? You got to dig into it, like what you're saying.
Yeah. So he's the second defensive back to win Defensive Player of the Year. The other one was Stephon Gilmore in 2010.
Mm. All right.
So,
And then Offensive Rookie of the Year, no brainer, Jaden Daniels.
yeah, that was a no-brainer. Like, I wanted to look into the. Okay. I'm going to ask a fucking question. And this is why votes should be made public. How the fuck was he only on 49 of the 50 first place ballots?
Somebody, I don't know, biased for some other guy? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, like, that makes no fucking sense. It's like, and I know this isn't a baseball show. I have a beef with Ichiro Suzuki not being a unanimous Hall of Fame inductee for baseball.
Okay.
Like, how the fuck does one person not vote for him? How the fuck does, like, the season Daniels had at quarterback, like,
yeah, the dude had almost 900
position.
rushing yards on top of a great rookie quarterback passing year.
Yeah, like, that bugs the fuck out of me. But it's a no-brainer. You're right.
Okay.
Like, which is probably why it bugs the fuck out of me, because it just doesn't make sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I don't know that we need to go through any of the other NFL honors. If there's
We do
one
have
that
to
you
go
want to
through
hit
one
on.
more.
Okay.
We have to go through one more.
Sure.
Because I want to say this. The turncoat fucking traitor Ben Johnson won Assistant Coach of the Year.
I did see that, and I was just going to avoid it, but yeah. And I'll tell you after the show, there's quite an interesting nickname that he's gotten in the Detroit area, but I don't want to say it on the show because it's pretty mean, and I don't want us to get sued, James.
All right, that's it. That's
All
the
right.
only one I just wanted to mention. Fuck you.
Yeah, let's do our Hall of Fame class, and then we'll get to the Super Bowl preview.
All right, so the Hall of Fame class this year is the smallest class since 2005, which also had only 4 members enshrined into the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so there was 3 plus 1 senior inductee, right?
Yeah, which I'm trying to figure out which one was the fucking senior inductee.
Sterling Sharp.
But he should have been an inductee anyways years ago, so.
Correct. But I think, he kept getting passed up because he only played 6 seasons or something. It was a shortened career. And that's why he kept missing it, is that people were like, well, compared to these other guys that played 10, 12, however many years, whatever.
Yeah, but didn't Kuechly get in the Hall of Fame after playing 4 years in the league?
Probably.
The thing I like is his quote after getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. Have you heard it?
No.
He said, "I'm the only pro football player that's in the Hall of Fame, and I'm the second best player in my own family."
Oh, I've heard him say that before. Yeah.
Okay.
He said that about Shannon Sharp being better than him before.
This is the thing I'm going to say about Sterling Sharp, and I will never forget this. I want to say it was 93. Let me look it up. What year it was? I want to get this right. It was 93 season or 94 season.
I mean, I remember him when I was a kid, and he was a great wide receiver. It was a bummer that he had the injury and it got shortened.
It was the 93 season. So, 93 season. Dad, brother, and I go to the last regular season game. At the last regular season game that year at the Silverdome, with the Packers coming in to the Lions. Winner wins the Central. Central. and hosts the same team they're playing the following week. Lions won that game, hosted the Packers the following week. Lions go up late. I want to find, like, real late, like a minute left in the game. I'm looking for it, and I'm not finding
That's
the
fine.
actual minute left in the game. No, less than that. I want the 93, 94. It's less than a minute in the game. Like,
Brett Favre.
This was the last playoff game at the Silverdome, too.
Okay.
And I'm looking. So, 2:24. 2:24 left in the game. Lions go up 24-21. Fucking Shannon Sharp.
Sterling Sharp.
Sterling Sharp, sorry. Caught a fucking 40-yard pass with a minute left in the game. I want to say it was down the visitor sideline of the Silverdome. It was going towards Rochester, down the visitor sideline. Just fucking running his ass off, and it was like, fuck. Because I knew right when that happened, the Lions lost the game.
Yeah.
Sharp, that game. So he had turf toe going in. He hadn't practiced in like 8 weeks, but he's still playing. Fucking won the game for them. It was a fucking Favre. Like it's one of those moments as my childhood fandom of the Lions. Like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
Oh yeah.
Like, are you serious? And
then who knew it would take 30 years before we were relevant again in the playoffs?
Yeah. But it was the Lions' first playoff home loss in franchise history.
Okay.
Up until a couple weeks ago, it was the only home playoff loss in franchise history.
Gotcha.
But their next, after that, home playoff game was this year.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Was this year or last year? Last year.
Last year, yeah.
Last year. But 30 years later.
Yep. All right, so other than Sterling Sharp, we had Eric Allen, cornerback for Philadelphia and New Orleans and Oakland. Jared Allen, defensive end for Kansas City, Minnesota, Chicago, and Carolina. I forgot that Jared Allen moved around that much. And then also Antonio Gates, who was San Diego / Los Angeles Chargers. And I also didn't realize Antonio Gates was still on the team when they made the move to Los Angeles. But then again, seeing 2018, I didn't think that it was that long ago that they moved to Los Angeles. So, time is just flying by, man.
They moved to LA in 2018. Wow.
I mean, it must have been 18 or before, because they're saying Gates was on the team when they were the LA Chargers.
It must have been.
Yeah. But yeah, Jared Allen, he was a beast. I was not as I would say this. I thought he was good. I didn't get as crazy about him as a lot of other people did. He had a lot of seasons that were like, you know, 9, 10 sack seasons, whatever. And I thought, okay, there's guys getting 15, 18 sacks a year that they're not talking about like they are Jared Allen. But he was effective in all facets of the game, running, run stopping and everything and whatever. And so I don't want to take anything away from him.
Get
The
this:
one thing,
the Chargers moved to LA in 2017.
yeah, it's crazy. It was that long ago. And then the one thing that a lot of people are talking about is Eli Manning not getting in on the first ballot, whatever. Eli doesn't seem to be too affected by it. When
Okay.
you look at the list of the guys that made it, I don't think it's a huge deal, right? And then the other guy that I heard about was Adam Vinatieri not getting in, and it's the same kind of thing, man. It's those guys are going to get in. It's just a matter of time. And in this class, I can see why they didn't edge out any of these other guys. And so,
Okay.
not the end of the
So, but
world. They'll get their
that's
time.
that's the thing. Like, you can have five.
Hmm.
You can have five
Yeah, so they
on
could
Hall
have
of
gotten
Fame.
in, but yeah, they're just not there yet.
Five, five, and is it five? Is it? I want to look for. I don't know. I know you can have at least five, so you could have had another one. There's a couple of people. Eli Manning is not a Hall of Famer. Eli Manning didn't have a Hall of Fame career whatsoever.
I don't know,
He
man. You
won
beat
two.
Tom Brady in the Super Bowl
He
twice.
won. He won two Super Bowls, but he has a sub 500 record.
I don't know. I think you beat the GOAT twice. They got to find a place for him, in my opinion.
I have issues with, and I was wrong. Kuechly's not in the Hall of Fame. He was a finalist this year.
Okay.
I have issues with Terrell Suggs. I have issues with
What,
Adam
Suggs was
Vinatieri.
badass, man.
I have issues with Adam Vinatieri. I have issues with Darren Woodson. I have issues with Torrey Holt.
Torrey Holt was greatest show on turf, man.
Those are the people of the people that I thought were snubbed were those four.
Sure.
Kuechly,
He'll get his time.
he played 7 seasons.
Yeah. It's going to be a
Defensive Rookie of the
similar.
Year. He'll get his
Yeah.
time.
All right. I don't mean to push you along here, but I
No,
only got about
that's
20 more minutes and I got to bail.
shit.
All right. Let's do our Super Bowl preview, James. And
Yes.
so it's just one game this week, but I
So
figure we're going to
first
want
we'll go
at least 15 or so minutes to talk about it, right?
go through a quick recap. I sealed the victory last week for
Yes.
the
Yes.
playoff
Let's not
bet.
forget that, you son of a bitch.
We both went 500 last week. I
almost flipped a game to force it to go on another week. And then I was like, no, I can't do that. I'm just going to stick with it and see what happens.
I got my 6 point. You got your 5 point. I got one additional point. You needed it flipped to have a chance this week. So I won 31-23. I got so far 75% of the end of the playoff games right. You got 50% of the playoff games correct.
What can I say?
So we'll be just swapping bottles of whiskey basically.
I'm good with that.
So last week, obviously Philadelphia, or not 2 weeks ago, obviously Philadelphia, Kansas City are the teams that won. Which brings us to the Super Bowl, which apparently first I'm going to start with officiating.
Sure.
So it's a relatively inexperienced officiating crew compared to past Super Bowls. So
I think I saw something that the head official has done it once before, and so he's at least got some experience.
Yeah, he's got some experience. There's only 3 head officials that have refed the Super Bowl this year with Ron Tolbert, who's this year's ad ref. Bill Vinovich and Carl Sheffers have each had 2, and Ron Tolbert, this is his second one since 2020.
Yeah, and I think what's his face, the main guy you're talking about. I read he had not coached officiated a Kansas City game this year, but he did officiate. I think they said at least 1 or 2 Eagles games. I think he was the Brazil game, and then maybe another one for the Eagles.
So Tolbert has, when he officiated the Super Bowl in 20, why don't you just tell me? 3 years ago, 2021, 22, 21, 22, 22. Super Bowl 56, whichever fucking year that was.
Yeah, 3 years ago, yeah.
He missed, or his crew missed, offensive pass interference or a face mask call on T. Higgins, and only threw a total of 4 flags through the first 58 minutes of the Super Bowl.
So he's a let him play kind of guy.
Called 2 flags, threw 4 flags in the first 58 minutes, threw 4 flags in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, let's boost the Rams.
Yeah, 2 in the red zone against the Bengals on that game-winning drive by the Rams.
Yeah, fucking bullshit.
His regular season crew, threw the 3rd most flags in the NFL this season at 17.1. And in the divisional round, that piece of shit ref the Lions Commanders game and threw 12 flags. But never called roughing the passer or offensive holding, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So the fix is in.
Oh, I bet you we see a roughing the passer this time.
Yeah, bro. If we don't, like, I mean, they're gonna come up with a phantom roughing the passer, like seriously, like they always do. Like there's
they breathed on him.
Oh my gosh, they ran into each other. That must be unnecessary roughness. He was sliding near them, and they ran into each other.
Oh my God, they played football. It must be roughing the passer. Oh.
Okay, so I called this 2 weeks ago, and I'm sticking to it.
Sure.
I said the winner of the NFC Championship game between the Eagles and the Commanders was going to win the Super Bowl. I would have stuck to it if Washington won that game, like I thought they were going to win that game.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick to it now. I think that everything that is going on leading up to the Super Bowl, the Eagles are thinking, what the fuck? What about us? This whole talk of and I'm not going to say the word because I don't want us to owe royalties to Pat Riley, which who knew you could trademark the term used for 3 consecutive championships.
Oh yeah, that's garbage. I heard about that. Yeah.
But the league did it, not Kansas City, but it was reported that Kansas City struck a deal with Pat Riley to license that term for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and we don't make money on the show, so I'm not sure what they could squeeze out of us anyhow, but I know what you mean.
With obviously cards are stacked against the Eagles because you got, not only do you have to beat Patrick Mahomes, you have to beat the refs.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles have shown they can overcome the odds and win when not suspected or not expected to. I think that absent a bullshit call, which I'm not saying isn't going to happen, I'm not saying is going to happen.
Yes, we can't read the future, but I know what you mean.
Absent a clear bullshit fucking call. I think the Eagles pull it out. I think the Eagles have been the most common. Okay, ESPN asked 67 experts, quote unquote experts, on who will win. 41 of them were picked by the Chiefs, but were picked the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
26 picked the Eagles. There were the three most score predictions by these experts. You had 10 of them picking 27 to 24, 5 of them picking 27 to 23, and 5 of them picking 31 to 28.
Okay.
So it's going to be a close game, and a bullshit call
swings it.
We'll swing it. But I'm hoping that what happened 3 years ago, whenever the fuck it was, is going to happen in this game, and at least for the majority of the game, the refs are going to let them play it and let them win it on the field and not interject themselves into the game. It concerns me. I hope that they do it for the entire game, not just the first 58 minutes.
Yeah. Be consistent throughout.
Yeah. Don't change how you're calling the fucking game because it's crunch time. Be consistent without. If you're calling something all game, call it. If you're not calling something all game, you can't call it in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
So I'll say it again. I'm on the Eagles.
Okay.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly, Eagles, fly. Yeah. So James, I guess the way I'm looking at it is I'm picking the Eagles as well, but I do believe it's going to be an uphill battle. Kansas City obviously has more experience in this game. I know that Jalen Hurts and some of these Eagles have been here before. Sirianni has been here before, but they didn't win it, obviously. Mahomes, I think because of the experience, is going to be a lot calmer early on and could maybe dictate some of the tempo of the game. But I like Philly's chances. I like Philly in the trenches. I think that can be a difference maker for them. I like it, the way Saquon's been a difference maker for that team this year. And then if they need to, they have great receiving weapons with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert. So, Jalen Hurts can make it happen through the air if he needs to. I think on the flip side, Kansas City's offense has been very streaky this year. I know they're the healthiest they've been all year with Hollywood Brown and Pacheco back now for however many weeks. It just they've been very underwhelming on offense this year. They were the number 16 offense according to NFL.com, and then I think defensively these teams are very similar. I think the Chiefs are a really good defense, and I think the Eagles are a really good defense. I think the Eagles are a better defense, but you can't count out Spagnuolo and what he does with the Chiefs defense when it matters the most. And so I definitely see this being a close one. I'm going to give the edge to Philly, but I'll be honest, part of it is just that I want the underdog to win. And so that's why I'm going that way. And then I will say this too, is that, and I haven't done this a lot this year, but I did scope out the lineups ratings for these teams. And it's weird because in the game matchup, they have them very even. They've got Kansas City as a 94 overall, Philadelphia as a 93 overall. And it's similar. Like on defense, Kansas City's a 92, Philly's a 95, and then it's the opposite on offense. Kansas City's a 97, Philly's a 93. So you can see they're very even across the board. When you go into the player ratings for each team, it does actually look like it's more favorable for Kansas City. But I think that that's because Philly has a number of young guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that their individual ratings haven't necessarily caught up yet with how well they've played on the field this year. For example, Quinion Mitchell has been a phenomenal rookie. Cooper DeJean been a phenomenal rookie. Those guys typically lag on lineups before they get the right ratings. And then even what's his face, their defensive tackle. He's had a great year, and I mean, I'm pulling Jalen
Eagles?
Carter. So
Carter.
they're showing him as an 80 on lineups, and I think he's already surpassed an 80 rating in my opinion. So, I think that this is a great time to go with the underdog, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm with you, man. I'm taking Philly, bud.
All right. So, So anything else on the game? I'm curious what your question of the week is because I want to ask a follow-up question, but I don't want to step on your
I'm going to go with. We've been doing this every year for question of the week, and I know you're like, no, I don't remember every week off the top of my brain, but we've been asking who you think the Super Bowl MVP is based on who you think is going to win as our question of the week, and so
that's what I thought. Okay. That's why
was that going to be your question?
That was going to be my follow-up question.
Okay.
To that.
Well then, hey man, you're locked and loaded. Tell me who you think's going to win MVP.
All right, I'm going to give you two people. I'm going to give you my person that I think is going to win MVP, and I'm going to give you my long shot favorite to win MVP. Okay, so I'm on the Eagles. The way the Eagles win is running the shit out of Saquon. Literally running the shit out of him.
Yeah.
His last 5 weeks, he's had. I want to get the stat right. Over the last 5 weeks, or over the last 5 games, he's averaged more than 150 rushing yards per game.
Oh yeah.
If he puts up that average in the Super Bowl and the Eagles win, I would go with him at plus 250 to win the MVP. Now, my long shot, and this is, I kind of got to figure out, what do you define as a long shot? Like, I'm going to say plus 1,000 is a long shot. Is a long shot. Anything over plus 1,000 is a long shot because it's hard to delineate. Because really, this Super Bowl, there's only 3 people that have less than plus 1,000 odds to win MVP. That's Mahomes at plus 125, Saquon at plus 250, and Hurts at plus 350.
Sure.
And I'm struggling with which one of these two to pick.
I'll give you my pick, and I don't even see the odds. I'd go Devonta Smith, which I think is tough, right? Because if a receiver has those kind of stats, it almost defaults and goes to the quarterback that was throwing to him.
Yeah.
I can see this could be a year.
I was going defensive with it.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Because, I was going to say, I could see this being a year where they could overlook the quarterback because just in general, Hurts has had a very down year. Mm-hmm. And so if Devonta Smith maybe got 2 touchdowns or something, I could see them saying, well, it doesn't matter that Hurts threw those 2 touchdowns. The receiver was the game changer. But who did you have on defense?
So defensively.
Oh, you got a visitor coming in.
I do. Thank you. Can you take this to mommy? Okay, defensively, I think another way for the Eagles to win is pick six, shutting down, getting Mahomes. Pick six, you were right on. Pick six, having kind of disrupting the passing game for Mahomes, disrupting what Mahomes normally does, deflecting passes, forcing fumbles.
Zach Vaughn?
No. You mentioned one of the two earlier.
Oh, Quinion Mitchell?
Actually, you mentioned both of them earlier.
Cooper DeJean?
Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell. And I'm struggling on which one I think would have the better game. But I think if they do that and stymie the pass game for Kansas City, that's another way that the Eagles can win, and it won't be so heavily relying on Saquon Barkley. And I could see the game ending with like a fourth quarter late game drive, out of time. Chiefs are out of timeouts, down by a touchdown or down by 3, and Cooper DeJean having an interception.
Makes the play. Yeah.
Or Quinn.
And I could see him being the wild card, because I think he's more of, I think Quinion Mitchell's going to play to the outside, right? And DeJean's going to be the guy that he's going to be inside, and probably they'll push him to the back end a little bit. And so he could be one of those guys that's going to be unpredictable where the play could come from.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I was leaning towards DeJean.
Yeah.
On
That'd
it.
Be sweet, man.
And that would be plus 20,000.
Oh, throw some money on it now. Yeah. I think it's a lot of people would want to say Saquon, right, because of the year he's had. But the thing is, you gotta remember that Spagnuolo's been great at shutting down a team's top weapon like that. And so, his whole focus this week is make them win through the air. And so, Saquon could still have a great game. Anything could happen, and I mean, he catches the ball great out of the backfield. So he could have some receiving touchdowns too. You don't know, but I just think there's going to be a lot of headwinds for him having like a sweet 150 multi-touchdown game when the defense has probably been spending the bulk of the last 2 weeks trying to figure out how do they stop him more than anybody else.
Yeah, and no, and I see that. Like, I think though that those are two. I don't think it can be put on Hurts's back. I think Hurts will have a solid game, but I think if they shut down the run game,
they need a team effort. Yeah.
It's going to be a team effort versus if the run game's not shut down and Saquon's able to do what he's been able to do this year, then it's not going to need as much of a team effort because that offense will be rolling, so you won't need the defense to step up.
Yeah, this isn't the same Jalen Hurts that was in the Super Bowl a few years ago where he had that phenomenal season. This is a very lackluster Jalen Hurts, and he's banged up, the knee injury. You're probably not going to see a bunch of tush pushes. You might get a couple, but, it's like it's just going to be a different kind of offense than, I think what people would want to see, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And on the flip side, if Kansas City wins the game, I would say Mahomes is probably the favorite to win the MVP, which he is. And I would go with my long shot as Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt would be a sweet one. Yeah, I could see that happening because he's been clutch for him as of late. And now the attention is going to be on Pacheco, which means, he can do some damage as the change of pace guy. So, and that'd be a good story for them.
Interestingly, odds-wise, Kareem Hunt is plus 6,500, where Pacheco is... Where the fuck is Pacheco? He's plus 23,000.
Vegas knows.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the question of the week. So I'm glad we were on the same page there. And, not to accelerate things here, but I do got to wrap it up, my man.
No, I know. I've been tracking time, got a little bit
No, it's
Chewing
good.
the
And I appreciate you being available early for tonight. I ended up being double booked, unfortunately. So it just kind of sometimes the schedule happens the way it happens. So,
yeah.
but yeah, I guess for anybody who's watching, we hope you like the show. And, just in general, we hope Sunday's a great fucking game, right?
Yeah, no shit.
And I know for sure I'll be talking to you, James. We'll be texting or messaging on Facebook or whatever. And,
Bitching about that flag that shouldn't have been thrown, that was thrown.
yes, the ghost roughing of the passer.
The
Yes.
ghost roughing the passer, or the offsides when fucking
Yeah.
left tackle
Or this
really
will be the
false
game where
started.
they call the that weird formation where the tackle's like too far back, which they
Yeah.
haven't called since like week one. So, weird how that worked, right? Because I've seen people that are like way far behind all year and it just never got called again. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But
They'll
whatever.
figure out a way to give the Chiefs a game.
Yeah, they got to control the narrative, get their fucking triple action here and whatever. But that's why I'm going for the underdog. You are too. And yeah, like always, man, it was a good time. I hope you have a good night,
All right,
bud.
sounds good. Have a good one.
Peace.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut hut hike.